Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today I wanted to go over briefly kind of what's going on with China and Venezuela. So China's CNPC, or China National Petroleum Corporation, they're looking to revive their oil projects in Venezuela. And we know that Venezuela can use all the help they can get. I mean, if we take a look at this chart here, which shows their oil rig counts, it's essentially dead. So I'm sure they're very happy about the Chinese coming in to revive that industry. And this comes at a time when other oil majors from other countries are abandoning the country. It's important to note that China already has a lot of investments in the country outside of these oil projects that they need and want to keep going. So it makes sense that they're doing this. This is really big because for those of you that don't know, Venezuela actually has the largest oil reserves in the world. So most people, they think Saudi Arabia or some of the other countries in the Middle East. No, Venezuela to date has the largest oil reserves in the world, and that is very important. It's not just oil that they're plentiful in. They have a lot of other resources and minerals in the country as well. And I mean, that's a really big motivating factor behind the investments that China has made into that country. This article here is actually one of 4 parts. There's actually only 2 that work, which is the first part and the second part. For some reason, the third part and the fourth part are not accessible. Not sure why. But it actually does a really good job of detailing the relationship between Venezuela and China. It's actually pretty deep. It's not something that formed just a couple months or years ago. This is something that has been going on for decades, essentially, before Maduro's time. So what they're talking about here, and I encourage all of you guys to read it in your free time. So it says, as of December 2018, this alliance has resulted in more than 790 projects. So again, like I said, China has made a lot of investments into the country, and loans of more than $50 billion, of which Venezuela has paid $30 billion in oil and other strategic materials, and currently owes at least $20 billion, which China continues to charge in gold, oil, and other materials. So again, the important thing to note here is that China, in return for the investments that they're making into the country, they're not asking for dollars back. They're asking for the country's resources, such as oil, gold, other materials. Some of those other materials is more well-defined in the Venezuelan mining map that they developed with the country. And it was a very extensive survey into where the mineral-rich areas are in the country. Some of these really key minerals, besides gold, cobalt, iron, all these materials that are essential for our, way of life, and they have a lot of it. So if you haven't watched my video on Afghanistan and the kind of de-dollarization trends going on, I encourage you to watch those, and I'll link those at the end of the video. But Venezuela has a lot of minerals too. So here it reads, gold reserves in Venezuela represent a commercial value of more than $200 billion, while iron reserves have an estimated value of more than $180 billion. Both resources are coveted by China, of course, which has the most gold on the planet. China wants these minerals. They want the oil. They want it all. And that's in return for the investments they made into the country. So that's kind of the bilateral economic relationship that they have going on. And the question then becomes, well, why do they want this? Don't they want dollars? Well, again, as we know, the dollar is in the process of inflating. And that's because it's a fiat currency. It has no value. It lost its value when Nixon cut the ties between the dollar and gold back in 1971. And ever since then, it's just been floating, and all other currencies have been floating against it. So there is no actual value. It's just the trust that people put in there. But also you have to realize that the dollar has been going on because of the petrodollar. And that is what is allowing the dollar to remain the world's reserve currency. So in essence, what's going on here is China is spreading its influence through the One Belt and Road Initiative. And within this expanse is all these natural resources, including oil. And like I mentioned in the video for Afghanistan, whoever controls these resources and the access to these resources, that country or countries are the ones that have the power because they have real wealth. Because real wealth is not paper, monopoly money. It's resources. It's, energy. This is real wealth. And China understands that, which is the motivating factor behind all these investments that it's making, not just in Venezuela, which is a key part of its One Belt and Road Initiative, but all these other countries that we're seeing in Africa, Europe, Asia. It's massive. But they're not just finding these resources in other countries. No, they're also finding it within the confines of their own country. Sinopec recently found new oil and gas in Xinjiang. In the Daqing Oil Field, which is in the northeastern part of China, they found a massive 1.27 billion tons from shale oil formation since January. So again, whoever has access and control of these resources are the ones with the power because they have real wealth. Now, I'm not speculating into whether the yuan is going to be the next world reserve currency. I actually believe that it would be healthier to have multiple regional reserve currencies because as the US and countless other nations before it have showed us, it's not healthy for one country to have the reserve currency status because they tend to abuse that power once they have it. So again, I'm not making any speculations into whether China's yuan is going to be the reserve currency. I'm just pointing out that everything that is going on here is aimed at killing the petrodollar and essentially the US's role as the world reserve currency via the dollar. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.